1 to generation 2, and I've actually done some setup for you to make that process a little easier. So I've got new hint cards. So what they're going to say is a parent of one of your grandfathers was connected to the city hall. So he can have the title of patron of Paris or city mayor, or he can contribute to the community by visiting the mayor. So what we have over here is we do have patron of Paris as a title. Or we could do city mayor. So we're going to be pretty title heavy, however, this round, because we also know there's a Russian in my family who had a title, and there's a craftsman in my family who had a title. So we've got to get some Russians in here. Fortunately, we have one. We have to get some craftspeople in here. So we have one. And then we also need to get titles for them. So our work is cut out for us this turn. All right, so some of the things I need include money and some easy marriages to kind of fill out some of my family. So one thing I'm going to do is I can play Maria the Admiral's daughter for free because she has a special action that says marry or arrange marriage with her without using an action if you have another Spaniard in your family. So I can just put her in here for free because Javier is a Spaniard and a member of my family. In fact, let's go ahead and make her his mom. So that was like a nice little free action. So that means that for her, I'm going to get one more face-up friend card and a prestige. So I get a prestige. And what friend do I want? So I know that we need Russians, but we don't have any. We need craftspeople. So that might be good to have. So let's go ahead and grab the builder's daughter, Jen, so that she can join our friends. She's also worth some money, so that could be pretty good. We also have Ariane the courtesan. You can marry or arrange a marriage with her without using an action. So why don't we go ahead and put her into our family somewhere? Let's go ahead and put her in as my dad's mom, my paternal grandmother. So bringing her into the family is going to net me 3 gold, which is pretty nice because I needed some money. And then it's also going to give me one of these face-up friend cards, so I get another one. Who do I want? Who do I have synergy with? I don't really want to take Jacoba the farmer's daughter because even though she's a craftsperson, she is Dutch. And I don't have any other Dutch people to match her with. Miranda the fortune teller is a possibility because I could stick her in as a great-grandparent on this side if I wanted to. But I'll lose some prestige if I use her. Let's see. She also brings in money. Yeah, let's take Miranda. She's going to fit with our strategy of adding people to the family who give us some money. Okay, so those were actually some free actions I was able to take because of what's on the cards. I can marry or arrange marriages without using an action. So I still have these 2 actions preserved, which is awesome. So let's get some people in our family who are going to do what these cards need us to do. Okay, so a parent of one of my grandfathers was connected to the city hall. So we can make one of them the patron of Paris. Who will we make into the patron of Paris? It has to be a parent of one of my grandfathers. So the only grandfather parents I have revealed right now are Javier's parents. So let's go ahead and we'll get rid of one of our income, sadly, because that's what we have to pay, to make Javier's dad the patron of Paris, who married Maria, the admiral's daughter. It's a love story. So he's the patron of Paris, and we just give up 1 income, but we do gain 2 prestige, and we also get to draw a random friend off at the top of the friend pile. So let's see who we got. Ooh, we got Pascal, officer of the Cardinal's Guards. Hey, Pascal. Welcome to our friend group. Okay, so that means that we have taken the what title do they have action. So we still have 1 more action for this turn. Let's figure out what it is we want to do. So this is taken care of. Very good. 1 more prestige point. However, we still need to put a Russian in the family who can have a title and a craftsperson in the family who can have a title. So let's figure out who they are. We are, by the way, here at round 3. Okay. Okay, so we need to get a Russian in, we need to get a craftsperson in. We have options for that. Okay, here's what we're gonna do first. We are gonna make my dad's dad Olivier the pawn shop owner. I don't want to put Vasily in here because it will force me to put more Russians in, and I don't know if I'm gonna see any more. So if I can push him further back into the family tree, it gives me more options for nationalities for cards later. So we're gonna pay 1. We're gonna use the who were they action, and we're gonna identify my dad's dad as Olivier, the pawn shop owner. So we will get a +1 honor point for every other craftsperson in the family. We have 2 because both of my parents are. That's kind of nice. We get 1 income. We lose 1 prestige because apparently being a pawn shop owner is just not good enough for some people. And then of course we're gonna have to add their parents in, but I'm gonna do that off camera so I can do some rearranging. But before I do that though, I also have to point out I had an accidental stroke of genius because there's a craftsman in my family who had a title. Well, guess what? Olivier is a craftsman and we already identified him as someone who has a title. So I have basically killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Awesome. That is another prestige point for me. So Olivier basically paid for himself in terms of prestige. Take that, pawn shop owner haters. All right, so I've done some rearranging in the family, and you may notice I've made a couple of changes. One is that I actually have another extra uncle under here. That's because you're supposed to put a child card in when you complete a couple. So you complete a couple, they have a kid. So I have 2 uncles I didn't know about because the first one I used to pawn to get. We also have Laurent the jeweler now has a sister that we don't know about because we completed his parents as a couple. So now that his parents have been identified, there's another aunt out there that we just never knew. All right, so let's pull our pawns back. And we're gonna follow the turn order. So we're gonna get our income, which is another 3 gold. Not a bad thing, we can always use some gold. And then now we're on round 4. So we have 2 actions to use. So one of my priorities is gonna be getting a Russian into the family, which means we need to get Vasily the Cossack somewhere in our family. So it's tempting to put him here because it says there was a Russian in your family who had a title. However, I don't necessarily want to do that because once I do, if I need to do stuff in this previous generation, like right now, this couple totally works no matter what nationality I put in here. Well, this mother-son pair, because I have Spaniard, Spaniard, and then French person, French person. This all works really nicely. But that means that if I ever fill in my uncles, right, they need to be either Spanish or French. Well, if I put a Spaniard and a Russian here, that means I need to find a bunch of Spaniards and Russians to put back here to identify it as like parents, which I prefer not to do. So that means that I might need to put Vasily in and buy a title, which is going to be expensive, but not necessarily a bad thing. So let's think about where I want to put him. All right, so here's what I actually think I'm going to do. I'm going to put Vasily over here as my great-grandfather. And the reason I'm going to do that is because then I can put a French woman in here and have an easy line all the way down. So let's pay 3 to put Vasily in. Okay, so now in exchange for all that money I just paid for him, I do get another income. So my income's up to 4, which is pretty good. I would get to take 1 face-up card for each other Russian in my family, but there aren't any, so sadly I don't get that. Oh, and I put Natalie over here because she's just taking up space, so don't let that confuse you. Okay, so now there was a Russian in my family who had a title. I took the who were they action. Perfect. Okay, so now I get 1 more prestige point for that, so we're doing pretty well on the prestige. And I have 1 more action this turn to take. So let's think about what it is I might like to do. I want to do things that make money, and I want to do things that help me have more friends to work with, because those are both things I'm probably going to need the next turn. The other thing I can do is, since I've pretty much taken care of my hint cards like very quickly this generation, I can use next turn to do things like get a mansion, do some business ventures, things that are going to help me to score more points at the end of the game. So I actually miraculously have the time to think about that. All right, so let's see what we would like to do. We still have one more action this turn. So let's do this. Okay, so since I can, and I'm gonna have an income turn next turn, I wanna make some more money. So why don't we go to worthy business-minded? Sadly, being business-minded means I lose an honor point. I also have to pay 2 friends, but I don't really want to pay for Thomas, the promising cadet, because he's really expensive. And I don't have any Brits in the family, so I'm going to get rid of Rose, the professor's daughter. So I'm going to discard those 2 friends, but it's going to get me a venture. Who do I want to give the venture to? Let's just give it to Vasily the Cossack. Sure, he already raised our income once, he can do it again. So he will raise our income to 5, which is great, because that was our last action of the turn, but now we're on an income action. So I get 5 money back from the bank. So that was actually pretty lucrative, even though it cost me a little bit of honor. So now we're going to pull our pawns back, and we'll be on turn 5. So one thing I'd like to do is I want to get some more friends. I want to get these people out of these slots so I can refill it, so I have the maximum chance of finding what I need next turn when I see my new hint cards for Generation 3. So we're going to go here. Let's do Who Do They Know? And let's pay this 1 gold. And we're going to pay it so we can take 2 friends and then automatically the 3rd to clear the friends out. Perfect. So we got Gertrude, heiress of the Great Library, Robert the Explorer, Sophie, the season's hottest debutante, woo, Nicholas, the petty merchant, and Evgenia, the Tsarina's friend. So I can make her my like great-great-grandma if I want to at some point. Okay, so that was actually probably a good choice. And then I have one more action this turn. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay a little more money to get a mansion. Let's go for where did they live? So I'm going to pay 3 gold, which means I get 2 back from the bank. And then I'm also going to lose a friend because apparently some people just can't handle my success. So Jacoba, the farmer's daughter, who's Dutch and doesn't really fit into my family tree amazingly well, is going to go over here. Okay, so that was that turn. And I get to take this mansion, which gives me 2 prestige points. And I get to put it somewhere. Who gets to live in a mansion? Let's let my grandparents live in a mansion because my mom made them mad and I just never got to go visit my grandparents' mansion, which is how I never knew about it. How sad. One thing I like about this game is that like you make up weird stories about your family as you go. I mean, who doesn't have a weird family? It's perfect. So you pull these pawns back. We're going to move into an income generation stage, which means I'm going to get 5 more from the bank. Thanks, ancestors. And then we're going to move into the prestige point to honor point calculation part. So that's 14 points. That was at 8. So 18, 22. So that's, my score is also looking pretty healthy right now. And that's encouraging. I like it. Okay. So now we're going to move into generation 3. Oh, and there was something I completely idiotically forgot to do last generation, and I am so sorry. So at the beginning of each generation, you actually get an extra action. This hasn't hurt me any, so we're just going to roll with it. But you take all of these pawns, you shake them up, and you basically get a random one to use at some point during the round. So now I get a free mansion action at some point during this generation. I should have done that with the tokens again last generation, but I just... yeah, camera shy, I guess, and forgot. But that's okay. We're still doing fine, honestly. This game is going great, so we're just gonna accept my mistake and move on. All right, so now it's time to reveal our new hint cards for Generation 3. Let's see how difficult / inconvenient they will be to us. Okay, we need at least 1 Russian and 1 aristocrat on my father's side of the family. All right, so thank God we put Vasily over here, because that would have been really irritating. Okay. There were at least 3 craftspeople on my father's side of the family. So does my dad count, or do I have to add more? Well, we'll do overkill and try to put 2 craftspeople in here. I also know one of my grandmothers was the daughter of an aristocrat who had a title. Okay, so I need to get an aristocrat over here anyway. So if I can put an aristocrat with a title, that'll work perfect for Ariane over here. So that is something that's going to give us something to plan towards during this round.